heat wave in the southern part of the Canadian province of Quebec has been linked to 54 deaths. Most victims were elderly men in the Montreal area. The city recorded its highest temperature in recorded history of 36.6 Celsius on the 2nd of July. But it's not just Canada. Los Angeles set its own all-time high temperature of 44 degrees on the 6th of July. In Ouagla in Algeria, the country witnessed its hottest temperature ever, reliably measured at 51.3 degrees Celsius. And earlier this year, the city of Nawab Shah in Pakistan posted the hottest temperature ever observed on Earth during the month of April, 50.2 Celsius. Now, to talk more about the record-breaking heat waves around the world, we're joined now by the environmental scientist at Imperial College London and former Vice President of the UN Environment Assembly Bureau, Kaveh Madani, who is currently in San Diego. So thank you so much for joining us. Are these record-breaking heat waves expected?
So with all the things we hear about climate change, these are not out of expectation, because we have been talking about seeing more extreme events and floods, droughts, and all sorts of climatic events are expected to be seen and observed more and more, so become more frequent and extreme and intense.
Hot weather can be benign. It can just be one of those things which happens. Extreme weather events happen all the time, but this is having a huge impact on livelihoods, on people's lives.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We used to see extreme cold and extreme heat, and now we're seeing these situations where the frequency of extreme heat events and hot spells increase, and disadvantaged communities suffer from this, whether this is in a developed world or a developing world. 54 people being the victim of a climatic event that everyone has been talking about in North America needs serious attention. Here in California, we have also seen power outage, fires, and all these sorts of things. So this is not a problem of the developed or developing world. In all over the world, we are seeing extreme records, and for that reason, we believe that the human footprint is huge and significant, and we cannot just ignore it and say that this is a usual climatic variable.
Of course, man-made climate change. Interesting you use the word victim there, because if we're talking about terrorism, for example, we'd be talking about victims, and we'd be talking about policy changes in order to combat it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, so imagine this was a car accident or any sort of attacks or shooting or terrorism. The whole world would have been talking about it. But climate change comes as a hidden enemy, and it's, if you want to find someone responsible and accountable for it, it's us, and politicians are not very interested in those sorts of things, and it's hard really to catch the murderer here. But at least we know this is a serious issue. In the developing world, you can imagine how things are how hard the life becomes for the disadvantaged communities and developing poor communities who are not connected to the grid, or if they're connected to the electricity grid, now they require more energy for cooling. But power outage means a lot. The higher temperature means more evaporation, more demand for water.
Okay, unfortunately we have to leave it there. Kaveh Madani, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We're pressed for time.